Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. But we are joined by returning guest, George Carmi of Full Press Coverage and contributing writing for our blog, theburgundyzone.com. George, thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. How you doing?
Doing great, guys. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and I wanted to get you on here to kind of go into detail about your first article released with us, detailing the offense and how it was different, how this year's team on the depth chart is different than last year's team, if you can go into some depth.
Yeah, so basically, thank you for reaching out to me, guys, and we definitely are collaborating on the new Burgundy Zone blog, which is awesome. Definitely happy to be part of that project. And basically, my first article was asked to have a preview for training camp. And basically, I took the lens of comparing the 2020 team to the 2021 team. And guys, if you actually look at the roster, it's like night and day. It's actually amazing how much transpires over a year. Going into this season, for instance, we had Adrian Peterson and Darius Geis. 2020 was our number one in seed going into the 2020 season, which is crazy considering all things that happened. So what I did is I basically just kind of did an all-encompassing, big, open-ended article, just kind of informing everybody. If you are new to Washington or you're a diehard fan, I kind of evaluated all the positions. I reflected on whether if we improved, declined, or remained the same, and I think it's pretty interesting. You guys should check it out.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a good read. So like you said, if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and check that out. And sticking with the offense, and a guy like Antonio Gibson had a pretty good, solid rookie year, kind of tailed off towards the end because of the injury. What do you expect from him in his second year? Do you see him getting more involved in this offense with being in the offense his second year with Scott Turner?
I think so. I think he's definitely going to elevate a lot. I think if you think about it, last year was so abbreviated and so cut off without a true off season, right? With COVID and being virtual and Zoom. Basically, he was a converted wide receiver. He walked in from Memphis. He didn't even know how to be a running back till about week 4, 5, 6. And that's where he took off. And I think the nice thing will be coming into the season fully refined, practicing and being determined as a running back and knowing the playbook even better. He's going to elevate and be even stronger. So I'm definitely excited about that. My only concern is health, and I definitely put that in the article. I don't know if you guys agree with me about that, but I'm definitely scared about his turf toe. Yeah. And if he gets hurt, I don't know what we're going to do. In my article, I think he had like 170 carries or something like that last season. J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber combined had, I think about that same amount. Like if he's gone, it's a huge hole for our offense. I'm concerned about that.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we had Logan Paulson on last week, and he was talking about how first of all, he loves Antonio Gibson. He thinks he has the potential to be a top 5 back in this league. He says he's that good, but that's turf toe, man. He says that this lingers, he's had it. He knows how bad it can be. And that this is really concerning to him as well. So one of the things that you touched on, obviously you touched on the entire offense, but you touched on the quarterback position, specifically Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke. I just want to know, what do you think Ryan Fitzpatrick brings to this offense that it seems like it's going to be night and day compared to last year. So I just want to know what you see Ryan Fitzpatrick doing in this offense.
So Fitzpatrick's going to give like an explosive component to the offense, but one thing that people overlook often is his propensity to throw to the middle of the field. He is definitely, like Alex Smith, I had a stat in my article. I don't have it quickly right now, but I know I think 50% of Alex Smith's throws were 10 yards and below. There's, along the line of scrimmage. So definitely you couldn't really explode or go deep with that. Conversely, Ryan Fitzpatrick hits those 50% in the middle of the field, 10 plus yards. So I think with Ryan Fitzpatrick's risk taking, with his ability to give like his wide receivers a chance, plus better wide receivers, I think we're going to have a more explosive offense. And just talking to people, through Twitter and all over the place, even if we have turnovers, like if we, with our defense, I think we are more flexible to have a turnover or two. And I think with Ryan Fitzpatrick, we can definitely push the ball downfield, which I'm excited about. So I think that explosive element, that risk-taking element, it's going to be feast and famine. There's going to be some games where he blows up and some games where he blows up in the wrong way, but it'll be good all together. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And one thing, a little known stat about Ryan Fitzpatrick for some people is Ryan Fitzpatrick was the best quarterback in the NFL last year when under pressure. That's in front of Lamar Jackson. That's in front of Russell Wilson. He was the number 1 rated quarterback in the NFL when under pressure, according to PFF.
Yeah.
Wow, I know that.
Yeah, and speaking of being under pressure, it just got released today by the Washington football team that Tanya Snyder has been given the co-CEO label. She is finally, publicly, acknowledged as being part of this Washington football team. We've heard Jason Wright talk about how involved Tanya Snyder is, but they finally made it public. They put the ink to paper. She's now the co-CEO of the Washington football team. What do you think this means, George? You know, I saw like Tay and Todd put out there that this means that most likely that Snyder's going to be asked to step away from the Beth Wilkinson case, and so they're going to ask to take a step away, and this is him essentially saying, okay, this is going to be my backup. This is going to be my replacement. What do you think it means for Tanya for this?
What I think what happened is I actually read the Wall Street Journal article that came out today, and I think they're going to basically use Tanya Snyder as like, I think you might even said it, Kyle, saw on your Twitter feed, optics, right? I think it's definitely a good way to sell the team, kind of sell diversity and open-mindedness.
Right.
And one thing that Tanya Snyder doesn't get credit for, that I always kind of preach to all my friends and family, kind of give the Washington a hard time. She started the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that October pink that every single NFL team wears. She started that. She came up with that idea. And she oversees the Washington Charitable Foundation as well. So the fact that she does philanthropy and that she is a woman figure in a high-end position, and honestly, I'm just kind of talking like dynamics. Like now Daniel Snyder is fully committed to Tanya Snyder, right? So if he gets divorced, his team is going to be split in half. So they're in there for a long haul. So that's another big thing right there. And I just think that just having her in a position, it basically empowers her. It looks good across the nation optically. I think she does have a hand in the actual franchise, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I always thought she was more like a figure piece kind of in the background.
Right.
But in the article in the Wall Street Journal, they talked about how she was part of the branding process and how she's trying to re-envision everything, which I think is great. It's a good little different perspective. And I think Daniel Snyder's approaching like humanness. He's always like up in the yeah, I'm trying to be a jerk or anything, but he's always approaching like he's always like in the villain. They always like in the background, like he was always litigation and suing people. I think Tanya Snyder is always known as a sweet person. So now it's like, all right, this is the yin and yang to balance that out a little bit. So I kind of like the fact that I'm not opposed to it. I haven't seen Twitter today. I don't know if people are up in arms. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I know. I said it on Twitter earlier. Like you said, this is all. There is a portion of it based on optics, but I don't think the timing is just by coincidence. Tanya has been heavily involved over the past year with Jason Wright, and now probably when the report's going to be coming out, this is why they push that out there. To kind of get your mind thinking a different way before the news comes out. You're absolutely right about that, George.
Yeah, I mean, also, if you look at it, like, if Dan does have to step away, obviously, if his wife's coming home every night, he can ask her, hey, how was business run today? How are things around the office, blah, 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 stuff like that. So, I mean. And
I will say, and this also is an indication put on Twitter, also an indication that the good old boys of the old history, the way this team used to be run, this move directly is showing you that those days are done. They're over. Right. It's a new age now.
Good luck with people accusing Dan Snyder of trying to harass cheerleaders with Tanya in the building. That's not happening. She's not going to let that slide.
Definitely not.
He's still in the doghouse from that.
100%.
Why do you think she's hired? I'm just kidding. He deserved it.
If that's the case, though, honestly, if Dan Snyder is being like pressed and being pushed out of ownership, that's a chess move by him. And to put your wife in position, but that's a smart move. Everyone hates on him, but that's a smart guy, dude. That's wizardry right there. Good for him.
Yeah, watch him step down just to have his wife take over completely.
Smart. Perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, and speaking of the days of old, obviously the fans have been kind of dragged through the mud with this team, off the field and on the field stuff. But obviously Ron Rivera, this whole front office, Jason Wright coming in last year, kind of retooling everything, changing everything around. I have many friends that are different fans of NFL teams. I've never heard of them really interacting with the fans as much as this new regime is trying to do. So my question is, how do you feel about this whole new fan ambassador network they have? And yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it, man. I think it was a home run. I think Washington's doing the right thing. For one, Ron Rivera gives us instant credibility. Like, I don't know, just like you, Mike, I have a lot of friends who are like Giants fans and Eagles fans. He's growing up in the D.C. area, which is very transient, right? So all over the place. Yeah, Kyle knows. And Ravens fans and stuff too, all over the place. But they all respect Ron Rivera. It's like, you know what? You guys have a legit coach. And it's like, we've had a couple of them over the years. We had Mike Shanahan. We had Marty Schottenheimer. Now we have Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is genuine, though, right? Like Mike Shanahan, everyone kind of considered him as like, he was very football savvy and wise, but kind of sneaky and kind of conniving and, whatever. But Ron Rivera doesn't have that. He's known as being genuine and being very forthright with people. So I think having Ron just brings credibility to us. I think having that fan ambassador thing is a good idea. I think, in regard to big picture, some people do feel kind of like left out of it. Like, hey, you know what? I wish I was picked. Why am I not picked? And kind of feel uncomfortable in that regard. But at the very least, right, having stakeholder feedback, reaching out to fans, that's a great feature to have. And not a lot of, as you said, Mike, not a lot of teams do that. So I'm glad to be part of it. And Jason Wright, man, he's a home run. I'm very proud. Like I'm proud to have him as my president, and he basically does everything the right way, very articulate. He's like, he just blows me out of the water. Like, dude, I can't even think like that fast.
Right.
And stop just killing it, dude. So he's awesome. So I'm really happy with it. I hope they do a good job, and I think they will. I think just giving our opinion out there is just basically that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I can't tell you know how smart Jason Wright is. I've never really put it out there as to why I think why he's earned my respect, but you have to look at it from this perspective as a fan. There was a huge disconnect, the size of the Grand Canyon between ownership and the fans. So Jason Wright coming in, he knew he was fighting an uphill battle, getting that kind of confidence back, that relationship back. So what does Jason do? He goes and he follows the loudest, the smartest fans in there, has intercourse with them, talks with them, communicates, and that way they can rebuild the relationship. I know I said intercourse.
I hope he's not having intercourse with him. Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying Jason Wright's sleeping with any of the fans.
What kind of franchise are you guys running here?
Maybe Keith, but that's it.
That would actually make a lot of sense.
That would make a lot of sense. But he's doing it the right way in building that kind of confidence back in that relationship by going after going and connecting with the fans. Right. This is a complete 180, and I can't stress enough how smart Jason Wright is, because that was the one way you were going to get back in with this fan base, is making every single fan feel special, and them now clamoring and working to be in your good graces. In 1 year, guys. 1 freaking year. Jason Wright's a man.
And Kyle, I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but my day job is a teacher. I work in education, right? And it's just so funny, just seeing for years and years that being a Washington fan wasn't popular. It wasn't, right? I was that teacher on Fridays with my Redskin jersey into school and be teaching all day and just be proud of that, right? But you see Seahawks jerseys and Giants jerseys and Patriots jerseys everywhere. But I think we are rebranding it the right way, and we coming off with integrity. We're coming off hey, we are a classy organization. We are listening to fan input, and all those old knocks people would say against Washington. Oh, Dan Snyder's really involved, or they don't listen to anybody. They're sexually harassing people. No, we're not. We are proven that we are not. We are progressive. We are diverse. We are moving in the right direction. So I think we're getting respect. And if we just start winning on the field, I think we're going to become a popular team across the country. I think I know I grew up a Redskins fan, whatever. I believe it. I love it, right? But I honestly did believe that being a Redskin fan had a glass ceiling, because I do feel like there was a contingent in America that felt like Redskins, that name was derogatory and put down people and things like that. So even if we did become popular, it would be hey, I can't root for them because of this. But I think with this new vision, this new exposure, I think sky's the limit. If we start winning, let's say we get a rookie quarterback next year that tears it up, we might be a crown jewel of the league. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can 100% agree with everything that you guys just said. And another thing is the social media team. The social media team has been top notch, top of the line. They're up there right now with the Washington Nationals as the best social media team. So in all of sports, they both kill it. And honestly, Washington football is better. But so going back to the article, one of the things that you touched on, and actually you convinced me, I felt differently heading into it, but you talked about the offensive line. Now, originally I was under the impression that yes, we did lose some pieces, but overall this offensive line was better. I loved what they did. They had a lot more depth. And you brought that up, and you're right. They do have more depth. However, you do think that they slightly downgraded a little bit, and you're right. This starting offensive line, right, is not as good as it was last year. Does this offensive line worry you at all, or do you think that this is just going to be something that's just going to take a little bit of time, where there shouldn't be much of a drop off?
I'm a little bit worried. I mean, I think by the time preseason rolls around and the first couple of games roll around, maybe my mind will be changed. But I definitely am concerned. Something I keep an eye on, because just the unknown. Right. I think I had conversations for years, and I think I'm in the minority about this. I think everyone's really pumped about the offensive line, but I'm a little bit nervous. I thought it was a mistake to let Morgan Moses and Jaron Christian leave without any competition whatsoever. I know Christian is whatever, he's a marginal starter, but I just think at the very least he's depth, right? Why did we get rid of him? There was no reason for it. Maybe have him battle through training camp, but maybe they saw what they had to see. Morgan Moses was a steady presence. He was a captain. He was a leader. Maybe he was toxic. I think that there's some rumors about that in the locker room. He said bad things about Dwayne Haskins and old regime. I don't know how. I also heard he maybe he wanted to get a long-term big deal and that wasn't coming his way. I heard because of that there was some conflict, and that's why they released him as well. I don't know if you guys caught that as well.
I did
But
not.
yes, I did hear that. I heard like basically he was, I think this might be the last year of his deal, or maybe one more year later, and he basically was like, you know what, I want a long-term deal to kind of cement myself for the next 4 or 5 years, and I'm a Virginia guy and I want to stay here in Virginia. But I think they knew that they weren't going to pay him big bucks, and they're like, you know what, instead of making this a problem and festering, we're going to let you go a year early. I think that's what happened with them.
Yeah, love you, Morgan. Love you to death. You're an awesome dude when he was on the show. But no, I'm sorry, you just didn't deserve that long.
Nah, he's a solid piece, and you can definitely upgrade from him.
Right,
but,
exactly.
But going back to my article, I guess my question is like Charles Leno, however you pronounce it, at left tackle. My wife's family's from Chicago, and I talked to them before. Like, he's a solid starter. He's is what they all basically say about him. So it's like, all right, cool. We got him at a left tackle, but like, should we be confident with that? Like, who knows? Right. We had Cornelius Lucas, who was a journeyman. He did pretty good at left tackle. We'll put him at right tackle. Like, that's a question mark, Like, left tackle is primarily a pass blocker, and right tackle is primarily a run blocker. So we're putting him almost in a different type of skill set. So how's that going to work out?
And we don't know about Cosme.
And Cosme's still developing. So like, it's just a question mark to me. Like, it could be improved, but like, before I'm a show me before you tell me kind of guy. So I want to see it first before I actually feel confident about it.
Yeah, I think the best way to be able to put your sentiment on the offensive line is that it has more question marks than it did last year.
I agree.
Like chances of being lower than they're supposed to be.
That's pretty amazing considering the question marks that we had last year around this time.
Well,
I also just saw
specifically on the offensive line.
I just saw PFF on Twitter like earlier today that they had Washington's offensive line ranked in the top 5 going into this year also.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I know we were ranked really high as a unit last year, but still, that does surprise me based off of what we lost.
I'm surprised at it too. I was like,
now George, I was thinking of something. I think it's a really good argument and a good question. Of the coordinators, who has more to prove? Is it Jack Del Rio or is it Scott Turner? And to give a little bit of context, Jack Del Rio, a lot of people will say, well, they went against bad competition. It was a poor NFC East. Everyone was injured. That gave you the upper hand. Does Jack Del Rio have more to prove than Scott Turner with the added weapons to the offense? What do you think about that? Who has more to prove as a coordinator?
That's a great question, Kyle. I like that a lot. It's very provocative right there. I like it. I think from my perspective, I think Scott Turner has all the things to prove in the whole world, right? I think Jack Del Rio's proven. He's definitely been around the league for a long time. He's converted defenses. Hot take, I guess, for me, I don't know if you guys agree with me. I think the defense is going to take a step back. I think people are thinking, hey, they're going to be number 1, number 2 in the league. It's going to be interesting. Like I think they'll play well this year. I think they might even be better this year. But I think just the motley crew that they have to play this, like, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, just have their stats aren't going to look as great as they did last year, and they might be better. So we'll see how that goes. But to answer your question, Scott Turner, this is the year for him. Like, he basically, if you guys remember, when Ron Rivera was fired, he took over and basically was the offensive coordinator for like half a year, very similar to what we had with Kevin O'Connell with here in Washington, right? So kind of like a trial period for a couple weeks. And he came to Washington, had 1 year, a crazy year with COVID and missing parts, and Dwayne Haskins was a quarterback, and Alex Smith on one leg. Being a quarterback, that's what was part of his offense. So we saw a little bit of what he could do, and he was limited. Now it's like you have no excuses. We have depth across the board. I think our offensive weapons are good enough. It might not be, Tennessee Titans with like AJ Brown and Julio Jones, but they're pretty solid. They're like top tier, I think. Top tier, second tier. Yeah. Antonio Gibson's a bona fide star, pretty solid tight end. Offensive line, quote unquote, top 5, top 10, right? There isn't any excuse. So if we see progress and we see like it looking pretty good, if we're like top 15, I'll be happy with Scott Turner. If we're bottoming out again next year with the weapons that we have, then we have a red flag. It's a big problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's actually a great question because the B. Mitch and JP Finley show earlier, they were asking a question to like the fans calling in. What do you think is more likely to happen? This team jumping up from the bottom of the offense, or bottom of the league in the offense to a top 20 offense, or them jumping from top 4, top 5 defense
to number 1
or number 2, exactly. And a lot of people were saying, well, the defense statistically might take a step back, even though it might be overall better, but it's going to be hopefully a lot easier to jump from the bottom. I think we were 30th in offense last year into the top 20. Because if you think about Fitzpatrick, if he gives you even mediocre QB play, as long as they're out there sustaining more drives, a lot less 3 and outs, You got to think the defense gets more rest, which means they get able to adjust a lot more. You can bring in a guy like William Jackson, who's a great man cover guy. A lot more blitzes from Cam Curls and the guys in the secondary. A lot more exotic blitzes from a guy like Jack Del Rey, who loves to bring the pressure. So definitely think, like you said, Scott Turner is definitely, it's all focused on him because this offense, the defense is going to do their thing. It's all about his offense going to be able to rise to the challenge and make this team a double-digit team win.
Right.
And
you're right. It is definitely a question that you really have to think about because at first, when you first hear that, automatically you're like, oh, well, Scott Turner is under the most pressure because he could be fired if he doesn't do well. But that's very true. Jack Del Rio. I mean, if the defense takes a step back, which it very well could, like you said, George, they're going up against some very good offenses this year, and it probably will take a step back a little bit. Then people are going to start talking. I mean, he's not going to be fired, but he's definitely going to be under a lot of pressure with the amount of talent that he has. So I do think it will be easier for Scott Turner to jump forward, just with the amount of acquisitions that they have, the amount of speed that they have. If he can't do something with this offense, then I do think that he's gone next year, Scott Turner. So.
Yeah.
Let me jump on it one more time. I think I love what Mike Hall said. So basically, I had a conversation with a couple of my buddies, and we're like, my projection in my group chat, I was like, you know what? I think our offense is going to be around, 15 to 17. I think our defense will be like top 10, like 10 is what it would be. And one counter argument from one of my friends was just like what Mike Hall said, was like, you know what? If our offense is better, right? The way they rank defense, we were the second ranked defense in terms of yards allowed, right? So if we're on the field more, we have the ball more, we are controlling the time of possession, it might be comparable. If we're keeping them off the field, then the yards might be low. We might be top 5, top 10 defense. So we'll see. So it's definitely, we're facing better quarterbacks. We have a better offense. It's going to be awesome to watch next year. I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, to finish this up, George, I have to ask you one last thing. In order of importance, okay, the best way I'm going to be to describe this, let's say that the young players that are still in the rookie deals on this team, right? And let's say they all are having their contracts expire at the same exact time, and they all need contract extensions. In order of importance, 1 through 5, who deserves the contract extension first, in order of importance?
Gotcha. Who are the options?
Let's say Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. What was the other one? I think Tim Settle. And then one more, I'm forgetting. Shoot. Let's say Cam Curl.
Okay. Let me think about that for a moment. So obviously, number one would be Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin, we have to build around him. I think he is. I think last time I was on here, we had this conversation. I think he is quarterback proof. I think there's very few wide receivers. He's
proven that.
Yeah,
he's definitely proven that. There's very few wide receivers in the league that are quarterback proof. Like DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, is definitely one of them. And I think Terry McLaurin is definitely one. He's just a route runner. Route runners are special and unique, and he's a great leader. So sign him number one. I think Deron Payne number 2. I know we had Deron Payne, we had Jonathan Allen. That's a tough one. Like Jonathan Allen's a great leader. I love Jonathan Allen. I think when I listen to him talk, I just want to run through a wall. It's all like I want to kick ass. I want to throw people around. Like hell yeah, it makes me so pumped up, right? But I think Deron Payne, what makes a defensive tackle special is pass rushing ability. And I think when we had Jack Del Rio, we changed our scheme from a 2-gap scheme to a 1-gap scheme. So we're getting our defensive tackles upfield. Mm-hmm. And Deron Payne, there's no coincidence, in my opinion, that he had a step forward last year. He started to blow up because, instead of being a nose tackle trying to, block guys, I'm going upfield. He was blowing people up. And I actually rewatched the Buccaneers game the other day, and he was a disrupt. He was throwing Brady around. That was awesome. So it's like, you know what? Number one, he's got to keep him around for sure. I think then it will go to Jonathan Allen. I think, Tim Settle and then Cam Curl. Okay, yeah. I'll go Jonathan Allen number 3. I think Jonathan Allen's a step below Payne. I think he's just as good. I think he's a good defensive tackle, great leader, good glue guy. So I definitely would keep him around.
Then dude, Cam, you know what? Erase Tim Settle and add Antonio Gibson. I'm sorry.
Okay. That thing's okay.
Changes things. Yeah.
It does change things. Antonio Gibson, I have to wait a year. Like I think I thought he I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, or I have to wait one more year on Antonio Gibson. Like he had a great rookie year, had 11 touchdowns. He definitely started. He ended the year on a great trajectory. But I was putting it out there. I'm going to be hated on on Twitter. Durability, is he durable? We haven't even seen that yet. He got injured for a couple games, right? Is he consistent? Is it going to happen is he a special running back, or was he just had a good year last year? We had to see
this is ceiling. I mean, we don't know.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, if he blows up next year and kind of goes a little bit further, then definitely it's something right there. So, so I guess maintaining that, I would go McLaurin, Payne, Allen, then Gibson, then Curl. And that's kind of crazy. I don't know if I like that because I like Curl's special. We haven't had a good safety in a long time,
Right.
so
Right.
it's nice having that. So
It's a difficult. It's a difficult question.
It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll throw it over to you guys. What do you guys think?
I'm right there with you. I do think the McLaurin is number 1, but I will go Cam Curl number 2, just because Terry McLaurin, like, we haven't had a wide receiver like this since like Art Monk, and like you said, he's quarterback proof. No other wide receiver right now has had to go and almost nearly get 2,000 yards receiving in 2 seasons with 8 different quarterbacks throwing them at different times. It's unheard of. Then number 2 is Cam Curl. Like you said, the safety position is something we've been trying to fix ever since 21 passed away. That is obviously necessary. 3 is Jonathan Allen. Just that one, like you said, that one statement he made, that one interview was like, "I set standards." Bank it. That's my captain right there. That's my guy. And then it goes to Deron Payne, and after that to Gibson. The running back market has dried up, and it's not as much as it used to be. And this is where like people are starting to gravitate towards, like the younger rookie deal running backs. That's when you get the most out of them, not post contract extension, i.e., Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I'm right there. I think we can all agree Terry's number 1 for all of us. I'm going to go Jonathan Allen.
Hall's got Gibson number 1.
I'm going to go Jonathan Allen number 2, just because I think Jonathan Allen, obviously the locker room thing is huge. Also, Jonathan Allen, a lot of people forget, Jonathan Allen played very, very good last year as well. He took a major step forward, especially, according to PFF. I know PFF's not the end all be all, but he does. I think that he can offer a lot of pass rushing capabilities as well. And then I'm going to go with Cam Curl, then Deron Payne. But Deron Payne, it's like you can really go either way with all these guys. And then Gibson, I guess I would have to put last just because of the injuries and you don't know what he is. But that's not – Gibson could also end up being number 2 on this list after this season.
Right.
So, like,
he's a playmaker, yeah.
But also just based off of his position, you kind of have to put him last because running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL these days. So,
yeah, like you said, obviously Terry's number 1. Number 2 for me would probably I'd probably go Cam Curl, just because you saw what he did last year. The potential is going to be off the charts. Like you said, we haven't had a guy back on the back end like that since 21.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'd probably go Deron Payne, only because, like George said, what sets the good pass rushers, interior guys from the great ones, is the way to rush the passer. And I think that Deron Payne is just a smidge better right now than Jonathan Allen.
Freak of nature too.
Yeah, he is.
Love that guy.
And then, yeah, exactly. Number 4, Jonathan Allen, great glue guy, locker room guy, definitely a
glue guy,
captain of the team.
Allen's also had injury problems in the beginning of his career and at the end of college. I didn't take that into consideration.
Yeah, remember Tom Sula said that. Tom Sula said that after the first year with Jonathan Allen. He's got to stay healthy. He has all the capability in the world. Just got to stay healthy, and he has.
Yeah, and that's another guy where under one season under Jack Del Rio just took a huge step. And then it's crazy for me to say this because you already know I love Gibson. I've been the guy driving the Gibson train since the day that we drafted him. But George brought up a good point, because this is a guy that played receiver in college. He didn't really even get a lot of touches in college like that. Yeah. He was just kind of a guy that was not really a gadget guy, but a big play type of guy. So he never really got touched a lot. Coming to the NFL, especially at the running back position, you're taking a lot of hits on majority of the plays, majority of the downs. This is a guy that couldn't stay on the field because he didn't develop his pass blocking, didn't really know the pass blocking schemes. You stay in the game on third down, pass block, you're going to get rushed by linebackers. You're going to have to chip defensive ends, stuff like that. So the durability thing, as much as I hate to admit it, and I've been trying to stay away from it, and I'm trying to downplay it, put positive thoughts out there, really it could be an issue. Yeah. But I do think that it is only turf toe, not only turf toe because turf toe happens, but it's not really like a soft tissue thing or like a ligament thing, not a bone thing, or I guess turf toe is a bone thing. But either way, I think that if he can get over the turf toe, and I definitely think that he can be right behind Terry as the most important person to his offense, because if you think about it, if this team can be more of a run first team as opposed to a pass first team, they can control the clock, give the defense more time to rest, and then that's when you got a guy like Fitzpatrick who will flourish off the play action fake, off the deep shots, off the, like you said, over the stuff over the middle. So right now I'll put him at 5, but I think after this year he'll be at number 2.
Man, we got some rough fans in here, man. I'll tell you.
I don't know about you guys. Gibson, for me, as the year progressed, was my favorite player to watch on offense. Terry McLaurin's my favorite offensive player.
Oh, yeah.
Once that Cowboys game happened, we had 3 touchdowns. It was one up with the dude. You're my fan. I got all fanboy all over you. Dude. You're the best.
Listen,
That
I
was
do
awesome.
disagree
Yeah.
because mine down the stretch was Logan. Watching
Logan was
Logan play down the
beast.
stretch
Yeah,
was
well, he
absolutely
played
amazing.
But it is, you're right. Antonio Gibson, like I said this last year, and some people said I was dumb for it, but he almost kind of reminded you of a Le'Veon Bell type with like his
I guess so.
size and his
Yeah.
build and his patience and vision.
Good
And then
point.
just that burst. Once he sees a hole, he's gone, and he's just so hard to tackle for a loss. Like Antonio Gibson was fun to play. Plus, just the fact that he waved bye-bye to the Dallas
Dallas
defenders
Flyers, that
That was
was
a
beautiful.
moment
wearing
right
the
there. That was
gold
great.
sleeve and the gold gloves. I was just like, God, this guy gets it.
He
He
This guy
definitely
just,
gets it. That was
yeah.
awesome.
George, I can't thank you enough, sir, not only for joining us,
Yes.
for putting out such a great article as your first release as a contributing writer for the Burgundy Zone at theburgundyzone.com. You can find the article. And what is it called, George?
It's called Washington Offseason Preview. Basically grading the offense is what it's called.
All right. And then you can also find George at gcarmi21 right on Twitter.
Yes, sir. And also on fullpresscoverage.com. And guys, thank you for having me. I really appreciate all of you. You guys put out quality work. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
Thank
George. I
you.
can't wait to have you on
Yeah.
again, brother. You have a good one.
Take care, guys. Bye.
All right, brother.
Take it easy.
All right. We just spoke to the man, the boogeyman,
The man.
Mr. George Carmi.
His article's amazing too, by the way. Like if you haven't read it, seriously, the way he breaks that down. I mean, he's an English teacher. He's
Yeah.
a fantastic writer, but the way that he breaks it down, it really makes you think, and it really gets you excited for this season.
It does. And I liked the way that we brought that out because I don't think that's something that normal people really put out there. Is a contrast from last year to this year to really show the overhaul that happened. But
Right.
before we get into our fan questions and everything, let's go with read your segment that you wanted to implement. You wanted this so badly. You wanted cringe stories to be on here because you have a great one. But I'm going to save the best for last, Reed, okay?
Okay.
So
All
I'll
right,
go
yeah.
first.
Okay.
Hall, you're going to go second.
By the way, can I just preface this by saying a cringe story? Just so you know, we've all got hundreds of them.
Like
I'm sure.
cringy.
This has to be something that like keeps you up at night. Like you lay there and you think sometimes, and it'll keep you up for hours. You're like, God damn it, why did I say that? Or you know what? Why did I take that picture of that guy in the dark and the flash was on and got caught? Or you know, it could be something from middle school. It could be elementary school. It could be something embarrassing that happened yesterday. It could be anything that you just makes you cringe. And that's what this is.
All right, mine. So I have to put some context this because it's not the exact way that Reed did it, but that's Reed's story, okay? But this cringe story is a little bit different, and I have to preface it with this: I was a degenerate when I was a young man. Okay, I was a lost soul. I had no wit about me at all. I was just wandering the world trying to find something to do. Okay. I was in high school. I went to a country concert with Cam, one of my good friends. We went with these two girls. And so on the way back from the concert, Cam's like, yo, let's go back to my house. Let's hang out. I was like, yes, let's do it. We're good with it. Hit up my dad. Like, hey, just want to let you know, I'm going over to Cam's house. He's like, no. Why? He's like, come home. I was like, fine. So I was like, Cam, why don't you and the girls come with me back to my dad's house? Girls stay in the car. Cam, come in with me because it'll be easier to convince my dad, right? Go into the house. I go into the fridge. I open the fridge. My aunt and uncle are on the couch with my mom and my dad. And so all of a sudden out of nowhere, my mom goes, so how long have you been smoking weed in the house? I said, I haven't been smoking weed in the house. She throws a little dime bag onto the floor. I was like, damn it. Shit. And I was like, I don't know. That was just one time. And then she was like, how long have you been rolling weed in the house? I said, I haven't been rolling weed in the house. She throws down the shoebox with all the guts in it.
Yeah.
And so Cam is still sitting there, and Cam's looking at me because Cam's the one who did it, and Cam's like, you know. Shit. And so the last thing my mom goes, so Kyle, how long have you been having sex in the house? And I was like, I haven't been having sex in the house. She threw a whole bunch of condoms on the floor that I had in my room.
Little did she know it was your and Cameron's fault. And it was you guys
Right.
together.
I looked at Cam. I was like,
having
Cam, I
sex.
think it's time for you to go home, dude.
I think yeah. My parents think we're smoking weed and banging,
But
and now
the reason why it was so cringe is because I told him, like, we're coming in, we're gonna convince him and leave, and we get in there, and then all of a sudden I'm just getting bludgeoned to death in front of my aunt and uncle, but my parents and him.
and for like the worst things possible when
Yeah.
you're in high school, like drugs, sex.
Yeah, you would have thought that I would have like figured out by then. Every time she asked a question, I would just say yes, but no, I didn't.
Right. And you just keep digging yourself in that hole. That's what happens.
Well, my story, like Kyle's, got to give a little context. I was also a degenerate in my younger years. And
Still are, some would say.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very true. It's very true. I try to keep it on the hush though. Only days that end with Y. So It's like, so backstory. I was young, dumb, stupid, driving around like most other people that hang out and party. I was driving around like an idiot drunk. Got pulled over and got a DUI, blah, blah, blah. So the very next day after my DUI, I'm driving a car to work and I'm all blown, just like, oh, I hate my life. Like, oh, jeez. And usually when I'm changing lanes, I look over my shoulder just to do a double check, see the blind spot. Everything's good. Well, I was so blown that next day after the DUI that I was just driving like, oh, I hate my life. Life sucks. Didn't look over when I was changing lanes. Got clipped by a huge like F-150. Just destroyed my car. Ended up getting totaled. So I didn't have a car for the longest time on top of getting a license suspended. So like didn't even really need a car technically. And so after like a whole like X amount of time, I don't even remember how many months it was of me just like sneaking out a car, driving around illegally. Finally, my mom was like, all right, you can take my car. I was going to go to my boy's house right down the street. I think it was like preseason or something like that. Like first preseason game of the NFL season. I was psyched to get out the house, chill with my boys, go have a good time. So for some reason, I decided, you know what? There's a beer store like 2 minutes up the street from his house. Let me just stop here. I'm only going to get one beer, you know, like I don't got a license. I already just got a DUI. I don't want to be stupid. So I'll just have one beer, watch the preseason game, hang out. I'll drive home later on. So I get out the car. I leave it running like I've done 1,000,002 other times. Left it running.
Oh no!
Run
I think I
inside,
remember it.
get a little deuce. And I'm like a 45-second transaction. I already knew what I was getting, in and out type thing.
He's a regular.
Yeah, clearly. They already knew what I wanted. So I'm walking out, and I'm open the door. I look around. I'm like, I could have swore I parked my car right here. Like, this is weird. Like, what the hell? So next thing you know, I hear some tires screeching. F-U-B. You can fill in the blanks of those words. And I was just like, huh. One of my boys playing a trick on me, like, whatever, man.
He'll bring it back.
Yeah, he'll bring it back. About 10, 15 seconds passes by, and I kind of realized, like, I don't think they're bringing that back. So, of course, I run inside the store. I'm like, I didn't need to use a phone. I didn't have a cell phone at the time because I think it was, like, dead, or I don't even know what the hell was going on.
It's probably in the car.
It might have been in the car. But I run inside, I use the phone. First, another backstory. Because I'm a degenerate, I had missed court over something stupid, so I had a warrant for my arrest.
Been there before.
Yeah, so
why I missed last
don't go
Thursday.
into all that. Don't go into all that.
I know, but long story short, my lawyer tells me I'm gonna get it cleared up. Just stay out of the police's radar for the weekend. And me being like, I'm not degenerate anymore. I'm like, off the radar. That's easy. Well, not even a day or two later, so what happens? I got to call the police because not even my car. My mom's car has been stolen.
God.
So they roll up, go through the whole, like, what happened, blah, 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 take my statement. They take my ID. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I have a warrant. Like, this is going to end horribly bad because this is like my type of luck. I have horrible luck. Long story short, they realize, like, you know what? You have a warrant, but we're not going to take you in. Clearly you're having a horrible night. The guy superior, the captain guy, shows up. He's like, you know, man, you got to take him in. He has a warrant. I end up going to jail. They take me to jail. It's only like a 2 or 3 hour like process. So I see one of the cops as I'm like getting released to like go home or whatever. I see one of the cops from the scene where my car got stolen. And he's like, hey man, like I told you it wasn't going to be a long time. You're getting out soon. Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I got some good news and I got some bad news. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God. They found my car. Oh my God, thank you, Jesus. He's like, yeah, man. Well, I'll give you the good news first. He's like, yeah, we found the car. And I'm just like, yes. One less strike taken off because now my mom's not going to totally beat my ass. She's just going to like slightly beat my ass. Well, he's like, all right. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. He's just like looking at me all like with the like look on his face. And I'm just like, so what's the bad news? And he's like, well, yeah, we found it. But apparently the guy set it on fire. And I was just like,
shit.
I was like, what? And he was just like, yeah, so you sure you don't have any beef with anyone? Because it seems kind of personal. And that's my cringe story. And after that, my mom beat my ass.
You got your mom's car stolen and then lit on fire.
Yeah.
All because
you know who it was to this day.
All because of preseason game.
Over a preseason game.
Games. Yeah.
Over a preseason game.
Good God, Hall. That sucks.
Finish this up on an exclamation point, Reed.
Okay, so mine's a little bit more embarrassing, and I haven't told this story to anybody. I think I mentioned it to you just because I was thinking of stuff to talk about on the podcast, and this is 100% true story. I swear to you. So I was 19 years old. I just graduated high school, and me and my family went down to Orlando, Florida to visit my brother. I was 20 to visit my brother because my nephew was just born. So we're at Disney World for about a week. And then after we stay at Disney World, I am going to go take a bus and visit my friend, the Oshermans, their family down in Pensacola, Florida, which by the way, never fucking take a bus from Orlando to Pensacola, Florida. That took forever. That was stupid of me. But I was young. I was like, whatever. I also forgot that when you travel alone, you need a lot of money. Like you need a good amount of money. I stayed down there for like a week. So past like a week in Pensacola, a week in Orlando. And so time comes, I have my plane ticket. Time comes for me to leave. After we had a fantastic time, and I go to the airport, I'm checking my bags. I'm like, I just can't wait to get on this plane and get home. Like this trip has just been so tiring. All I did was party the whole time. And the lady's like, I'm sorry, sir, but we're going to have to check your bags. And I was like, no. I was like, I'll just bring it on the plane. She's like, that's not how this works. Sir, we're going to have to, like, it costs $50 for us to check your bags. And I was like, $50. I was like, I don't even have $50 right now. And she was like, sir, we have to do it. Either that or you have to leave your luggage here. Like, we can't do anything. I literally start fucking crying in the middle of the airport. Real tears too. Like legitimately. I'm just sitting, I'm crying. I'm literally crying. And I'm like, I don't have any money. I'm like, I can't get home. I don't know what to do. All my stuff's in there. I need stuff on the flight. I can't. And it's to the point where all these people are around me. And she has to be like, sir, shut. Shh. And I'm like, you just don't understand though. I've had the worst 2 weeks. I can't. Like, I'm not like faking it. Like, I'm really crying. Like, I'm like a 20-year-old man child is crying in the airport because he has no money. And she's like, finally, she's like so embarrassed for me. Like, I know this chick was just like, this guy sucks. Like, oh my God, what a bad person. And she's like, okay, look, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Okay, I will let you bring the bag on. Just stop fucking crying and walk that way. I was like, okay, thank you so much. And I walk away. I have to walk to the airport with red eyes, tears coming, sniffling, with just like the worst, dreadful stuff feeling in my stomach. I'm like, everybody just fucking saw that. There's probably going to be a viral video of me. I'm just gonna yeah, I'm walking through the airport and people are looking at me. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm crying right now. For all you know, I lost my grandma. I don't know.
That is such a funny freaking story.
So that now, by the way, luckily, like in my head though, I justified it and I was like, look, I'm never gonna see that ever again. I don't care, and hopefully I never do, because that, if she remembers that, man, like that's super embarrassing for me. But then, so on the flight home, I'm already like, I'm relieved, but I'm still kind of blown about it. But so the entire fucking flight home, it's just karma, and this woman, she has her shoes off and she has her feet up on top of my seat behind me. And then one of them is laying on the armrest next to me. And at this point, I'd already cried. Like, I'm not going to say anything to anybody else. And I just had to ride with this fucking gross, trash, meth head looking woman's feet next to me the entire time and above me. And it was miserable.
The funniest part.
I cried.
The funniest part of that entire story was the fact that you cried over $50 worth of stuff that you could have either just left there and just went on the plane alone, or you could just mailed it later,
It literally made no sense as to why it was such a big deal to me at the time. But I literally cried. Like, I see James cry, like my son will cry over something stupid.
Tired.
Like he'll be messing with the remote and he'll turn off Sesame Street and he'll start crying. I'm like, stop crying like that. Stop crying over stupid shit. And then I'm like, wait a minute.
You could have been like
I cry over stupid shit. I can't say anything. I was 20.
Back then. You just, every time you go to the airport with a trunk full of like cocaine, you just be, or a suitcase full of
shit. Right.
I can't get out of bed. I can't
yeah, if you want to transport drugs from Pensacola, Florida, all you got to do is just go up to the woman checking in baggage and just start crying your eyes out. You can get anything on there. They didn't even check. I could have had a fucking full human in there.
That's why we saved the best for last, man. But let's move on to our fan questions. And the first one is from our guy, Jeff Miles. He has a couple for us, but we're up against it here, guys. So let's try to go a little bit of rapid fire. He said, design your ideal uniform for your favorite possible team name. And I'm not going to put words in your mouths. I'm not sure what your favorite team name is. Right now, mine is Warriors. I still think that the helmet is fine what they have now, but instead of the numbers, you put the W on there. Make sure the W looks good, like what's on my head or what's on Reed's hat. And then adding in either a black or a specialty camo jersey with that added on. I just love the thought of having a black jersey with the burgundy numbers and the yellow trim around it. I think that'll look so freaking clean, or the other way around, to be perfectly honest. But that's what I would absolutely love. That's what I'm going for. Love the all whites. All blacks would be dope for special Monday night games.
Yeah, just because you do Warriors and mine is probably the Warriors, I'll go Commanders. I guess I like that name. And I would have like same helmet with the W, maybe like incorporate like the monument into the W. Like I've seen like that picture floated around a couple places. And then I would go for the number one, like the jersey, their home jersey, go all burgundy with the white, all the white and yellow trim, kind of like they have now. But I would like, how do I do this? I would kind of make the burgundy a little bit darker, so it's like a little bit like closer to like a blackish, like maroonish type thing.
Kind of like their past jersey.
Kind of like they wore against I guess against like what was it, the Steelers?
The leather helmets, yeah,
like leather helmets, exactly like those. That I would do something like that. Kind of change the number style up and kind of just incorporate some new kind of like swaggish type like letters and numbers, but can't really like explain it like a picture wise, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm terrible at explaining things, and I'm also I'm a Warriors kind of guy. Really anything but Red Wolf, so I'm just gonna keep it quick. Let's go with the Washington Indians, and we have a sideways Native American head on the side of the helmet with stripes down the middle. It's burgundy and gold. There's a casino in the stadium. There's serve alcohol.
You're ridiculous. His next question is actually a really good one. Who do you see the NFL disrespecting in their upcoming top 100 players of the 2020 season? One from our team and one from another team. So I'll start with you, Hall.
From our team, I would get disrespected wise. I'd probably say, I do think Chase will be on there because he was Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'll probably say Terry McLaurin because, just like George said, I think he's one of those just rare receivers that's kind of QB proof, no matter what QB's back there. So he's such a great route runner, such great speed and agility and quickness. He's going to get open regardless. It's just a matter of can you get him the ball or not. So I'll go Terry. Will probably get disrespected, even though I think he's a top 6, 7, maybe 10 receiver in the league.
He's top 10
on the ascend. And yeah, and then disrespect from another team. Rapid fire quickly. I'll probably have them. I'll have Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield will be lower than what he actually should be, only for the simple fact of he's doing something that he's taking the Browns to places they haven't been in God knows how long. He actually, if you look at his numbers, they're but if you actually watch him on the field, he wasn't that bad of a quarterback last year. So I think that he'll be on the list. He'll just be lower than he should be.
Yeah, look, Jeff, you're gonna hate me because I'm doing a cheap one here, but I love it. From our team, it's gonna be Cam Curl, just because we kind of saw how the reaction was to Cam Curl nationally. People were talking about Patrick Chung was better than him and saying that Patrick Chung, Jeremy Chin. And
same people.
Same person. And the Buccaneers guy, Winfield Jr., was better than Cam. So I feel like Cam could be that guy from our team that doesn't get the respect that he should have gotten with having 88 tackles and not in all 16 games. As a rookie starting strong safety, that's incredible. He should be on the top 100, but most likely he won't because that's how it is in Washington. The non-Washington player that's going to get shafted, Deshaun Watson. Simple part.
That's a good one, yeah.
He did that, dude. I know regardless of what's going on off the field, on the field last season, he was literally the only thing for Houston.
Top 5 in every category.
He was the only thing that showed up for them, and he still balled out.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, so for Washington, I'm going to say that it's going to be Cam Curl or Terry. I think that they'll find a way to screw that up and not have one of them on there. I mean, for sure, I would imagine Terry should be. Another person, though, that I think may end up making it, but he probably won't because he's still not as big of a name as some of the other cornerbacks in the NFL. J.C. Jackson. J.C. Jackson had 9 picks last year, so there's a chance that he will be. He should be. He was second in the league. He played fantastic. But Stephon Gilmore's still a bigger name. There's still some corners out there. But another one that played very well that nobody talks about ever, and of course he gets overshadowed by Jalen Ramsey, is Darius Williams, the cornerback from the Rams. I don't know if he's a top 100 player yet, but dude, that guy, watch out for him. He played fantastic under the radar last year. And on Logan Thomas, man, he's, it sucks that he's not going to be on there, but I'm just naming players at this point.
Now his last question is what current Washington football team player or coach do you see reaching the Hall of Fame the quickest, assuming there are any?
I will go. The easy one would be Ron Rivera, but yeah, I'd probably go Ron Rivera only because he has the lineage of a player. He played with the '85 Bears. He's been to a Super Bowl. If things keep going right in Washington, he'll be here until he retires, most likely, and hopefully multiple playoff wins, maybe NFC Championship for pray to the gods, a Super Bowl. But yeah, I would probably definitely between Chase Young and Ron Rivera, but I'll go Ron Rivera.
All right, so Jeff, you said quickest, and I'm making sure that caveat is in there. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's just say in the 2 years he wins 2 Super Bowls somehow, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, and that's going to be the quickest one to do it. And he has the longevity to do it as well. Obviously, it's not going to – I'm just saying right now, no, Reed. Of course, he's not a Hall of Famer right now. But I'm just saying the next 2 years, if he did that, he most likely would. So I'll just go Fitzy.
I would love that, by the way, if Ryan Fitzpatrick made the Hall of Fame.
I know in my bones it's Terry or Chase.
Yeah, I mean, player-wise, yeah, I mean, there's really you got to say those because those are the 2 guys that could really, elevate. Obviously, like Hall said, Ron Rivera, I think has to. He is one of the only coaches in NFL history to win the Coach of the Player or Coach of the Year award. So it's interesting. He's always been very underrated as a coach. But hey, it is what it is. But he should get in there eventually, especially if he wins a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl, Rivera's a lock.
Yes, without a doubt. Now, our next question is from Viscount JBG. He said, can we realistically start 3-0 beating the Bills away in Buffalo, Reed?
Okay, so what are the first 3 games that we have this season once again?
It's the Chargers.
Right.
And then Giants. And then Bills.
Can we? Yes. Will we? Probably not. And here's the thing. We always seem to struggle, or we have seemed to struggle as of late against the Giants. The Chargers are a good team. I could definitely see us beating them because, I think that our offense is going to be much improved. They haven't seen it yet, how this offense is going to be. Their defense isn't as good as it used to be. They do still, Justin Herbert's fantastic. They have some weapons. Giants, I do think we can beat, but the Bills, of course, scare me. Any given Sunday, however, there's a chance. I just don't think it is very likely that we will start the season 3-0, but there is a chance.
We can realistically start 3-0. Obviously, the Chargers are not barn burners by any stretch. They have a very good offense, a capable offense. Their defense has some really good playmakers on it, but they are very beatable, obviously. Right. And then the Giants, week 2, we don't know how Saquon's going to look, Daniel Jones, and everything. That is realistic. And then, but the Bills is the hardest one. And I think being in Buffalo is probably putting a little bit more edge on it. But I will say it would not be realistic if it was in like December in Buffalo.
Right.
But the fact that it's somewhat still summer, I do think it is realistic, Viscount. But I would not expect it to happen.
Yeah, I would probably go 80% chance that, or 70% chance that we don't, and I'll give it a 30% chance that we do. Week 1, Chargers coming over to Washington, 1:00 game. So obviously that's like, 10 o'clock out there. We struggle against the Giants, so I think we're going to lose that. But I think weirdly we'll bounce back the Fitzpatrick revenge game up in Buffalo, and I think we'll start out 2-1. But for some reason we just cannot beat the stupid Giants.
Right.
Absolutely. Now our next question is from our guy Tony Shivers. He wants to know what's up with people who go to a game live but wear a jersey not of either of the 2 teams that are competing.
Yeah, that is one of the most frustrating things in the world about going
basically.
About going to FedEx. And they'll say, "Oh, I just love football." No, you don't. You just really you need to be attending an AA meeting. Yeah. You can watch football at your house, dude.
Yeah. The worst part about it is like they tailgate, they like whatever, and then if something happens against the home team, they start talking a bunch of crap. And that is the worst part about it.
Talk shit for no. You have nothing to do. You don't have a dog in this fight.
You know exactly who I'm about to bring up, Kyle.
Yeah.
He's the number one person that does this. A Steelers fan living in Montgomery County, Damascus to be exact. Goes to Washington games, always wears a Steelers jersey. What are you doing? They're not playing the Steelers ever. Why do you wear it?
Yeah.
His name is Gavin Strayed.
because he likes to get into arguments and talk about why the Steelers are better.
And he's the exact person you're talking about. Oh, your team sucks. Your team's not here. Why are you here?
Yeah. Now, our next
Sorry,
question.
I didn't get the choice to like this team.
Right.
I was born into it.
Our next question is from Tony Franchise. He wants to know, what is your best and lowest moment as a fan of the Washington football team?
Best, I would go. Best, I'll probably go the 2012 season, just for the simple fact of I was big into college football leading up to that. I watched a lot of RG3 games. I was at the bar when we made the trade for him. I was running around the bar, like going crazy, spilling beer on everybody. So I definitely say the 2012 season was probably my highest, as I can remember at least. And the lowest would probably be recently, the 3-13 season. That was when we hit rock bottom right before Ron Rivera got hired. The whole Dwayne Haskins fiasco. Yeah, just rock bottom 3-13.
For me, the best time, I'm going to be honest with you, Tony, just personally for me as a fan, was last season. With things that we were able to do, like with interviews and with everything that happened during the season, Ron Rivera being here, because the one thing I've always wanted is to make sure that there was somebody running the football operations and an actual person that was in there calling the shots without having to get everything ripped away from them, essentially. And that's why last season was so important to me, is that we got everything. We got to win it. We got to the playoffs. We got a coach to come in here and take the reins from Dan Snyder and then implement a culture in a short amount of time and get results out of it the way that they needed to. That was the best as a fan. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of things go into it, but most of them are politically for me personally. The lowest is probably 2014, 2013, the race war that happened with Griffin and everything. Everyone saying that you were racist if you thought Kirk was a better quarterback and everything. That was probably the lowest. There was a huge divide in the fan base, and it was disgusting, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, my best is to tie it, and it's both the things you guys said. That 2012 season was magical for obvious reasons. I mean, going on that winning streak, thinking that we had a franchise quarterback, franchise running back, head coach, a coaching staff in place, that was just an amazing feeling, and it was amazing to watch this team play. And then, of course, this past season, there's so much to look forward to for us. So I'm very excited about that. I thought that was awesome that Ron Rivera went for the NFC East title, and he got it. And then, of course, my lowest. It's not even part of I guess it was part of the season, but when Sean Taylor died, Sean Taylor was murdered, that was like the lowest of the low. That was, besides crying in an airport, that was probably the lowest moment of my life.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, our next question is from Charlie Gaddy. He wants to know, ribeye, T-bone, or New York strip steak? What is your preference, Hall?
Ribeye, bone out all day.
Hey, mine is ribeye, char grill it, season it. Oh my goodness, I could eat that every single day. Yeah. There's nothing more tasty than a ribeye steak, dude. Ribeye all day long.
Right, yeah, you can't go wrong with the ribeye. Ribeye is the best that there is, especially when it's cooked right. And I will say that my favorite steak seasoning, I know it's very generic, but is Montreal steak seasoning. It's just so good on all steaks.
Next time you go to Outback, ask them to put some of their steak seasoning in a little to-go box for you.
Yeah,
your mind's gonna be blown. I'll tell you that right now.
Really?
I know the New York strip is like good. It's lean and it's tasty, but it just doesn't have the same marble and chewing.
Not like
I
a ribeye.
love the ribeye. Yeah. Now, our next question is from Swift to Punish. If you had a choice between being a Washington football team player or a Washington football team coach, what would it be and why?
Player coach.
If we could be a player coach, yeah, of course.
Player or coach, which one would you choose?
Of course, I've always wanted to be an NFL player. I mean, who hasn't? I love it. I love the NFL. So I would probably go that. I wish I had that athleticism, but realistically, if it was just like me in my current body form and my current skill set, I'd say I'd coach. Either one, that would be amazing. I would love it, but I'd love to be a player.
Yeah, okay. I'll go player just because, like I said, I've said it numerous times. I grew up playing football from the first age you can play all the way up through high school. Didn't play through past high school. Wanted to. Didn't have grades. Said screw college, all that stuff. But if I could definitely go back in time, I would definitely redo that, if anything. But definitely a player.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. It was a different worded type of question, but it would be coach, just for the simple fact, like I do like coaching and helping people. I did it last year for a short bit before COVID ruined it, and I was absolutely in love with it. It was the first time I was able to actually to be coaching, and I just absolutely loved it, man. I just think I'm made for that sort of thing. As a player, you know, I was a good player, but I just wasn't physically dominant. I didn't have size or speed, so it just kind of if I would pick, it would be coach, just because of what you would get from it. You know, the relationships with your players and everything. That's the most important. That's really, really cool. The camaraderie part of that.
Yeah. Nah, coaching's tight. I've always wanted to kind of get into coaching just because after I stopped playing, I got more into like the cerebral part of the game and stuff like that. So.
Well, yeah, I'm a very I love bossing people around, and like I love people doing what I say. So I think that's why I would probably get off doing it.
You're ridiculous.
Now, Kyle, ask the next question.
There actually is not one.
Oh, okay.
Hey, but I wanted to say thank you to everyone for your fan questions tonight. They were phenomenal. Viscount, Tony, Scott Hartley, Burrows. He said, "Is it coming home?" It's coming home, sir. You guys won. Good job, you guys. I really am proud of England for doing that.
Oi.
Oi.
Yeah. Oi.
All right, Charlie Gaddy, Swift to Punish, Tony Franchise, Tony Shivers. Love you guys. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. We will see you guys on Thursday, all right? So please make sure you do not miss that episode. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
Did it freeze? Am I still here?
No, you're there.
No, you're back.
Okay. Did we sign off yet?
No.
Okay.
I just said I'm Kyle. Hall said he's Reed. He's Reed.
Oh, well, I no, you're not. I'm Reed. And I will say Kyle Schwarber just hit his 16th home run in 18 games.
He just did right now? Good Lord.
And then I think Soto hit one after him. Schwarber is playing unreal, and don't look now, but the Washington Nationals are getting close. They're heating up.
And I love it when they beat up on the Mets, because Mets fans always go to Nats Park and cause a bunch of bull crap, talking a bunch of crap too.
Right.
But hey, you guys, before we get out of here, if you haven't already, go to theburgundyzone.com. You can go and click on the blog part of it. You can go read George Carmi's latest article for us. Let us know what you think. Give us some pointers on how to make it better. We would love the feedback. And then also as well, don't forget about our Discord. You can find the link in our description of the bio on YouTube there, or just reach out and we'll be able to send it to you where you can be in a group chat with us. You know, it's only for VIPs, so let's get the VIPs in there, everybody. All right.
As always, like and subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Yeah, baby. All right, everybody.
And check out my OnlyFans. I'm just kidding.
Your OnlyFans would be gross. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.